Gonna be a wild one. It's gonna be a wild one. So I hope everybody is doing well. Happy Monday. Monday is the day we go live and we talk about some issues, mainly musician, church issues, or whatever. Today is going to be a wild one. Woo. A lot has happened over the last few days. You know, when I put these shows together, I'm usually gathering things from the people who send me videos. Steven is one of my biggest contributors. And then I always say, okay, yeah, I got a great show. But then something always happens and it says, no, this is going to make your show crazy. And over the week, it has been one. Some of the same old, but still been one. And we're going to talk about a lot of things today. But like I said, some things make their way on my page like crazy. And when I saw this, I said, oh my God. Okay, y'all know I talked about this certain individual last week and all the glazing and creaming that usually happens, you know, when he's when he's in the building, you know, everybody is just just over the top with this guy. I want you guys to sit back and look at what happened today.
Name is LeBron James. I'm talking about the man on the Lakers. LeBron, I'm asking you to say his name. LeBron James, no message never gets any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at the sky and say his name.
This is not me, y'all. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this.
Yeah, I used to love. I wouldn't say love, but I used to be fans of certain players. My number one favorite player of all time was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I've stated it numerous times. I wasn't a Michael Jordan fan. I only like Michael Jordan because he got my Bulls a championship, or 6 actually. But once he retired again, I was done with him. I wasn't a fan. You know, I really wasn't. I enjoyed watching him play, but I wasn't a fan. But y'all taking this to a whole nother level. This dude literally has Barbie doll. Not an action figure. Not one with the Kung Fu grip, fighting other robots and everything else. A Barbie doll. You cannot. When I saw this, I I lost my mind. You know what I'm saying? I was like, bro, you just cannot.
God, you can't make this shit up.
You cannot make it up. Like, to see grown men literally glazing like this for this dude, it's like unbelievable. Like, what in the world is going on? Like, y'all literally be glazing. I mean, just oh my God. Oh my God. It's just unbelievable. Can we just be fans? It's okay to love a basketball player's game. It's okay to look at him and say, hey, he's dominant, he's great. But y'all taking it to a whole nother level. A whole nother level. What's up, Malcolm? A whole nother level. I just I know the playoffs is coming, and I know some of you gonna be coming too. That's all I got to say. Just don't do it on my page, because I promise you, I'm going to put you on blast. It's got to happen. It's absolutely got to happen, because it's out of control right now. It's out of control. Another thing that's happening. So the Pop the Balloon show is coming to Netflix. And those of you who do not know what this show is, it's a show like a dating show where somebody comes out and these contestants, they have a balloon and they usually pop it if they like you or something you said that they don't like. And usually the person that has not popped the balloon, they usually have the best chance to get with the woman or the man. When I saw this, and I've been seeing so many of the clips, I said, oh no. I won't be watching it. Now, I believe my curiosity probably will get the best of me sooner or later, where I may just at least take a glance. But the reason why I do not really like this show, when they start having people who do not look like me on there, then I say I will watch it. And you say, well, why is that important? Because it's sending the narrative that black men and black women are incapable of connecting bonds, are incapable of having families and having strong relationships. And when you see these shows like this and you see the superficial things that happen and that are said from both men and women, you're like, oh my God, what is this? And I know it's entertaining, but to me, the further degradation of our community is nothing that I want to find entertaining. That's just my initial thought. Will I give in to my curiosity? Most likely I will, because it's going to make for great content if I decide to talk about it. But really, honestly, it's the same thing. It's usually a man on there with crazy ideas of what a woman should be and vice versa for women. And then you pop the balloon. And I mean, I've seen some wild things on some of these clips. I can only imagine. But I'm just, again, going back. I don't really think it's a good idea that we allow people to make money by exploiting our inability to have relationships and to be married. I just don't see that as something I want to be watching and enjoying. But knock yourself out. I'm not going to judge you if you don't, if you want to. But one of the things we're going to be talking about today is looking at yourself and realizing that you may be the problem. I mean, as we begin to talk about the OGs and the young musicians, I'm going to take shots at both sides, to be honest with you. But I saw something on Instagram, and it brought a lot of attention from musicians and singers, and it put things into a wild perspective for me. When I saw it, I was like, whoa, that actually makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad that somebody took accountability for something that went wrong. I want you guys to take a second and look at this video.
We had star-studded production cast, track masters, Easy Mo B, Large Professor. We did the album, and the album still didn't do no numbers. And I just automatically blamed them. They garbage tracks. They gave me stuff from their B-list. They ain't give me the bangers. I'm blaming the producers. Then I'm riding in the car one day, and I think I was listening to a Method Man song. And I'm like realizing like how behind the beat, he was. A Nas song came on. And I'm realizing, yeah, he a little behind too. And that's when I started realizing, nah, these producers didn't give you bad music. You're the problem. Because you still rhyming like it's 1988. You haven't elevated your flow.
When I saw that, I said, oh, wow. That's crazy work. Like, he said the reason why his music didn't take off is because he never elevated his flow. He never evolved. Man, that rings so true for a lot of musicians that are older musicians. When you start getting to your 40s and your 50s and your 60s, you never evolve with the time. And you wonder why you stay, people phasing you out because you never changed. You never evolved. You sound the same in 2025 as you did in 2010. And I thought about it, I said, wow. And it's amazing. Those of you who do not know who that is, that's Big Daddy Kane. That's probably one of the most elite rap artists in the history of hip hop. Especially if you go back to like the 80s and maybe the 90s a little bit. That dude was the deal. He was the deal. But for him to say and take accountability and say, hey, it was me, that's saying a whole lot. That's saying a whole lot to me because when I look at myself and I say, man, you could do this better. You can, and I'm seeing the times is changing and the bass playing is changing and the style that they're playing is changing. I'm not going to say, oh, well, I'm not going to do that. No, if I still enjoy playing music, which is why I play, I still enjoy playing. If I want to continue to play, I need to look at myself and take accountability and say, hey, you need to change. Nobody's really doing the staccato thing like that unless you want to play funk man for the rest of your life. You might need to change it up and be more melodic. You need to change it up and have a deeper tone. You may need to change it up and play a jazz bass and not soap bars, even though I love soap bar sounds. It's just amazing. But you might need to do that. And it's good to have more than one bass, by the way, bass players. It's good to have more than one bass. You can see the line that I have. It's a choir behind me. But yeah, it's good to have that. But at the end of the day, as a musician, as a man, as a woman, as anything in any business, you should take accountability and look yourself in the mirror and be willing to be honest with yourself and say, maybe it is me. Maybe I'm looking at everybody else and saying they're wrong, but maybe it is me. That's crazy work. That's crazy work. And it takes a lot to do that. Trust me, musicians, especially because we have egos. We're going to touch on that a little bit later too. We all have egos. So we don't want people to say, we don't want to look at ourselves and say, you're the reason. I'm in my 30s and I still haven't done any major tours or played on any major records or done anything major. Then maybe it's this person who's looking back at me in the mirror. That takes a lot. It actually takes a lot. Speaking of taking a lot, I'm going to say this. I'm seeing way too many videos of people, men and women, who decide that they want to take matters into their own hands once they find out that somebody's cheating or wants to leave them and everything else. Sometimes you make it and everybody say, hey, good for you. Woo, woo, woo. They celebrate toxicity. They celebrate that I had no meat. I had a problem with that word. But no. But sometimes you make it as doofus.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Haven't done doofus of the week in a while because it's been too much dumb to go around, to be honest with you. We got possibly the dumbest president in the world right now. So every week is a doofus. But when I saw this, I said, oh, no, you got to make it, sweetheart. Now, there are levels to the stupid. There are levels to the stupid. The reason why I said there are levels, because number one, in this day and age, everybody has camera. If you're going to do something stupid, at least do it at night, where, the most they can see is a shadow in a bonnet. At least do it at night. But you decided, number one, was the number one dumb thing, to do it in broad daylight, and they got you on camera. Number two, do you know how fast it takes for gasoline to ignite? The same thing that you put in the car when you turn the key and it immediately starts, You got to think about that before you actually throw a match in there with the same thing you're using to power up the car. Do you think it's like the cartoons where it takes a second and then it say, it gives you a chance to run all the way up the block before it catches on fire? No. It usually catches on fire immediately. And so for you to do that shows how stupid you could be. And you should, like Shanette said, you better be glad that it didn't blow your eyeballs. It didn't blow your eyebrows off. You probably walking around here with just skin. Because what are you thinking? Like, bruh, let me say this. It's better to walk away. Like Paul said, it's better to bury than to burn. It's better to walk away than to be dumb enough to burn yourself with gasoline. She's the doofus of the week. Gotta be by far. But speaking of doofus, last thing before we move on. You know, I got this little thing. Do I still got it? Here it is.
Here we go again. Here we go again.
Here we go again. I'm just going to play the video, let y'all see what I'm talking about.
Good afternoon, loved ones. April 27th, I'm dropping a gospel album on Death Row Records. It's called Altar Call.
I thank the Lord for redeeming me.
Yeah, you heard it first. A gospel album. April 27th. God is good. Won't he do it?
Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Okay. Y'all remember the first time he dropped the gospel album? And I remember these church people, emphasis on the quotes, was fighting tooth and nail, talking about don't judge him. God can use anybody. God can use anybody. We're here again. He's making it seem like every time one of these people do something and then it's jacked up, the first thing they do is put out a gospel record. Kanye West did it, Snoop Dogg did it, and y'all still went to the Cream Fest and was like, oh my God, the record is the best thing since gospel music has ever had. And now we back again. I'm not against anybody doing gospel music, but it's like I said, and I continue to say, those of us who've been doing this for you for years, putting out record after record after record, we dang near got to do back bends, literally back bends, pun intended, for you to even clap and show up for our concerts. But somebody who does not do gospel music can put a couple of beats together and put a whole arsenal of features on this record, and y'all will come like a dog in heat. You're showing up, buying his stuff, or downloading or listening. Run his streams all the way up. But people who've been doing it for years, we got to go and be phenoms. We got to be like Marvel superheroes and line up together with our backs to each other and have glazing sparkles over our head and slinging webs and everything else for you guys to show up to our concerts. I mean, it's kind of weird to me how we are. We don't support each other. And again, we should put out stuff that you should want to listen to. But some of us are. Some of us, you cannot go to a church in America and not hear some of our songs. When you go to Fred's and Donnie McClurkin's and Donald Lawrence's and Aunt Hezekiah Walker's, you cannot go into your church. You would not survive without them unless you're one of those people that want to do How Great Is Our God every week. But those same artists gotta do miraculous things. We dang near gotta heal the sick and raise the dead for you to show up. But somebody who literally does not give up about you can show up and you buy his stuff. I never will understand this. I never will. Maybe one day we'll get it, just not soon enough for me. I'm not buying that record. Just so you know. I'm not buying it. I just don't have time to do it. I just don't. I'm simply not going to do the whole thing. Let me turn the chats off because I need to be serious today. All right, let's get the show going with Preachers Gone Wild. This is some of you changed the name to Resurrection Sunday. I guess a little whipped cream on it won't help, won't hurt it, I guess. But some people like to do productions. There's one church out here called Family Christian Center Productions, and every time they have a Jesus that never looks like us or a Middle Eastern person, but they still have their plays. And so sometimes people in their plays, they take it too far. This is an OBG, but I love this thing so much. Here we go.
Jesus. What's up? I want that on Jesus. I get Jesus. You want me one time? If not so, it's not possible. I'm going to die again.
Yo, imagine being in a passion play and a dude hit you so hard, like you supposed to be Jesus carrying the cross. He go whack you like, oh Lord, like, you come out of character really, really, really fast. But it just seems like our brothers and sisters over the pond in the motherland, they've been wilding out. To be honest with you, like video after video. I follow this one lady on Instagram, and I got just off of her alone. But I saw some people that contributes to the show, and it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. It was crazy. Let me let you see. This is crazy.
Me, I hate drama. I swear before God. Unaona sasa? Kenya iko mambo mengi sana. Kenya iko mambo mengi sana. Amka. Amka na makofia yako ya takataka. Toka hapa, enda nyuma huko. Kwenda nyuma. Kwenda huko, stupid. Na wewe kwa nini analala hapa na namuona?
That just won't happen here. It won't happen. You do that stuff to me, and it's gonna be one. It's gonna be one. I just can't see myself sitting there and letting somebody slap me like that in my face. It's gonna be really. It's definitely gonna be over for you. We don't do that here. Like, and then call them stupid. Like, who does that? Like, who? And he has a following. This thing, I don't know if you know this, but watching the whole thing, it was in a baseball field. It was in a field. It was packed in there. So this is a well-known preacher. And he literally slapped this dude because he was asleep. And I can see somebody maybe not slapping you, but putting you on blast if you go to sleep. But honestly, and I'm going to say it, and I'm not trying to be funny, some of your messages are boring. Oh, we've heard it. I mean, how many times do Daniel got to be in the lion's den? So, up your game, and, people won't do it. Oh, maybe you should be like the next person. We always talk about women wearing tight clothes. What about dudes wearing tight clothes when they preach?
Because the new religious spirit is wearing skinny jeans. And it's wearing bell bottoms. Man, I see them men with them bell bottoms and halter tops, I just can't deal with it. Men in the pulpit, earrings longer than yours, but it's stylish. But my pants are tight, I'm gonna keep tight. I can't do all that.
Real quick, is it not inappropriate for him to wear the tightest of tightest jeans and the tightest of tightest shirts in the church? Is this not, if it was a woman and she was, well and figured, and she was wearing something super tight, everybody would be like, that's too much. So is there a threshold for men? Me personally, I just think that this is, come on, bruh. We all know what you're doing.
Swaying and stuff. Like a train of your robe fill the temple or something. Sassaying and stuff. I don't want all that stuff flowing behind me. If I turn around, my clothes should be turning next. I might as well flip my hair. They doing that too.
Nah, bro. You don't need to wear that. But see, he's kind of he's a phenomenal talker. But he does, kind of awkward. Because I've seen this the Azusa Street stuff like that. And I want to ask you, is this necessary? What I'm about to show you. Here we go.
I open it over you.
Oh, wait. Hey, yo, what you mean? So, like, when I see stuff like that, I'm always like, bro, here's blowing on people, your halitosis and everything else. I'm not really with that whole thing. I think that's too much. That's too much for me. I mean, every time I see it, I feel like, like it's too much. That's just me. Y'all can tell me if I'm wrong. You normally do. But for me, it's just too much. I thinking that, maybe back off a little bit. Maybe. That's just my opinion. Don't be laying people out and everything else because it makes it look fake. It makes it look like it's orchestrated. It makes it look like it's just fun and games. I mean, if I'm walking, you snap your fingers and I fall, what's the point in that? What's the point in that? What am I getting out of it? Because when you wake up and you get off the floor, what's changed in my life? Oh, it's a feeling. But last I checked, none of this is supposed to be about feeling. Miracles wasn't about feeling. It was about, did it actually happen? If I have a leg that's been cut off and you touching it, it grows back. We never seen none of those kind of miracles. I guess we just read about those in the Bible because we ain't seen nothing like that. I mean, I saw one where the lady had like hands like this and he was like, grow, 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 grow. And everybody was like, ah, bruh, bruh. No, but I'm confused about this now. I just think, and that's what everybody expects you to do is fall. But then when I saw this, I said, oh no, we really doing too much now.
Ancient spirit is getting her family together. I cut you. I cut you. I cut you. Take your snake out of her. I pull it out. Be healed in Jesus' name. There it is.
I won't say that this was real or fake. I won't say it. I mean, I'm gonna leave that to y'all. I'll leave it to you. Well, what I will say is this. These demons, for them to be so powerful to have a stronghold on somebody for she said it's been passed through generations, right? For a demon to be that strong, they are the most behaved demons I've ever seen. I'm looking to see something that happens like The Exorcist, like chicks walking backwards like spiders, green stuff flying out of their mouth, their heads spinning around, all sorts of profanities and blasphemous stuff that they would say. They're not going to want to relinquish a body that fast. Jesus did it. But come on, man. Most of these demons, they know your dirt. They not gonna go quietly in the night. I just don't think they will. I know you ain't locking the door, so I'm a tie. What up, man? How you doing? I already touched on the Glazers, bro. That was crazy. You got to go back and watch it. It was crazy. But I'm looking at this and I'm saying, wow, I don't want to say it's fake. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say it's fake. But like I said, to me, it just seems like these demons, these strong demons and principalities, they are like by far the easiest to get rid of. Like you snap your fingers, they coming out of there. Come on, man. Some of these demons, I can see the little small ones that's just like, oh, that keeps you eating when you're not supposed to eat. The ones you're supposed to be fasting, and they putting all sorts of pizza commercials and stuff, and you just give in to the temptation. Maybe they like the small paws, but maybe they like the little bitty little imps. But the real ones, the ones that y'all say have been around for generations and eons, you mean to tell me it's the best it's gonna do is roll, bruh. That thing gonna knock you out. I really believe that. I really believe, me having grown up church guy in Christ and seen some things, I'm really believing that if it's real, that thing is not gonna go quietly in the night. It's not. Lock them doors, everybody, by the way. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I love him. we cool. Now, having said that, that's probably when you would see me be scared. If I see a real demon manifesting and I know I've done some things that I wasn't supposed to have done, and they be like, hey, y'all need to lock these doors. No, no. We not locking the door. If that's happening, no, lock the door. Let me go, because I promise you, I'll go. If you in my way and I'm trying to get, listen, if you in my way and I'm trying to get out that door, you better believe I'm going to get out that door. I'm going to move you one way or another. Because if I see some stuff, I need to get up out of there. Then y'all lay down and she not going to choke. Right. Come on, bro. I haven't said before, y'all go run and tell this preacher he said you was fake, and then she come put me on blast or whatever, because I'm going to retaliate if you do. But I'm just saying, she come say, you believe it's fake. I didn't say it was fake. I just said that's a well-behaved demon that's been around this long. I mean, for crying out loud. Why should we be scared of these demons if they so easily, they can go away that easy? I just don't understand. Maybe it's just me. Now, let's get to my musician friends. We go hard. Churches go hard on musicians. Sometimes we are underpaid. Sometimes we're not appreciated. Sometimes we are overly criticized. Sometimes we're rebuked in front of everybody. But I promise you, every now and then, you cannot deny how instrumental, no pun intended, we are to a service. This video is going to freak you out. Check this out, what this musician did. Now, this sounds like something Russ would do. Listen, that musician needed to get a raise for that. That was like, duh. But honestly, that's not too far off from what we have to do in church. How ready we have to be for stuff like that to happen. Seriously. And most of the good musicians I know, like your Christian Bishops and your Lenars, your Raquans, Russell, Lazarus, and all these other great musicians, they can actually do that. They follow you to the T. They are so in tune with what's going on. And I kind of give that dude his props, because I'd have been too busy laughing. Hey, Sin, how you doing, sweetheart? I would have been too busy laughing. I promise you. I just can't take it. I can't take it. That's just, and I wanted to lighten the mood, because now I'm about to get serious. Not about the OG thing, just one more thing. Because this video made it to me literally before I walked in this studio and plugged up my computer to go. It's not that long, but I hope this doesn't tick you off. Like, it kind of ruffled my feathers a little bit. I'm going to play it. We'll talk about it on the other side.
I'm about to get everybody mad. Stop blaming white cops for the killing of black kids. Instead, teach your black children to be obedient towards authority. I don't care. When I was 15 years old, I'm walking down Hollis in Queens, and an Italian cop drove right by me, and I locked eyes with the cop, and we stared at each other. He drove by. My ego and his ego. True story. He comes around the block, jumps out the car, grabs me, and smashes me up against a brick wall. Takes out his Glock and puts his Glock to the back of my head. No cameras, no iPhones, no social media, no recordings. He says to me, watch, say something. And in that moment, I hear the voice of my mom and my father. Son, obey authority. Son, respect your elders. And in that moment, with that Glock pressed to my head, I got to make a decision. Either my ego is going to be strong, or my submission to authority is going to be stronger than my ego. If I let my ego in that moment be stronger than my mother's teachings to obey authority, then I'm hurled into eternity by a cop's bullet. Why? Because my ego was stronger than my submission. And I don't care if most of y'all are black. You need to teach your children to obey authority. We need to teach our sons and daughters to obey authority. We need to teach our children to not fight against authority, not fight against cops, not rebel. And you need to teach yourself, stop cheating on your taxes, stop bending your numbers. Watch, the Lord said, give back to Caesar what belongs to him. That is, be submitted to governmental authority.
What about if your government is cheating on his taxes and has not paid his? What about if your authority is actually a criminal themselves, and they're running you, telling you shouldn't break the law, but the person running the country should be in jail? The part that we leave out. It was so much wrong with this. I get it. You want your sons and daughters to come home after, having faced a police officer. I'm in Indiana, so it could get real out here, especially when you start to go to other areas. I happen to live in one. I haven't had any issues, but the looks and you see all the rebel flags, and of course you see the 47, 45 flags and hats and everything else. You see the stuff that they said about the one that ran against him and the very, very disrespectful things that they post on their cars and on their bumper stickers and everything else, thinking they cool. I mean, I get it. But in no world outside of that, when they left the KKK and went to become police officers, were they ever expected to be quote unquote authority. You tell me how a public servant could be your authority in that moment, especially if you work and they take taxes out. Those taxes pay their salaries. So please tell me, kind sir, how you can take money from me and still be my authority. I don't understand that. And I would never tell young black men to treat them like they are the authority. I will say be calm, be cordial, don't be confrontational. That's good advice, be confrontational. But all he did was look at the dude and he said, yeah, they exchanged looks. Dude got out of his car and pretty much violated his rights. Now, sir, right after this happened, assuming it wasn't Cap, why didn't you go to the police station or run to a civil rights office and say, he violated my civil rights because I didn't do anything. He just got out the car and slammed me against the wall. Why didn't you go and say anything, sir? I think this is all Cap. Because he's not dumb. I don't think he's stupid. He doesn't come across to be dumb. So in what world do you get slammed into a wall, even as a young man, and you don't go home and tell your mom what happened, and they just say, oh, okay, well, what we having for dinner today? I don't know. No, that's not the way that this works. These people are not your authority. No way you police your authority. It makes my skin crawl when I see people call police officers, sir. How you calling somebody you pay, sir? You pay them. If you're working, they taking out taxes, you pay them. So you mean to tell me you walk in your place of business and people working for you, you say, yes, sir. The only time you should do that is if they're older, but even then you say, Mr. Johnson. You give them that credit. If I'm your boss, in no way in the world I'm going to call you sir. Never call these cops sir. You say officer. Or you call them by their last name. Lord. Yeah, I mean, in what world do you do that? And then you say you need to teach your children to obey authority. That sounds like slave talk to me. Now, is there a level of rebellion in some younger generations? Oh, absolutely. But you can teach them how to obey authority. But you don't teach them how to obey authority when it goes against their civil rights. And that's not authority. If it is, it's an abuse of power, because in no world should they be pulling you over, slamming you out your car, and you say, yes, boss, it's okay, I'm a good boy. No, we don't do that. I will never teach my son to be a SLAVE. I will never teach him to be Toby. I will teach him or her, listen, I would say, officer, and he says, this is what you do. And they pull you over because they're going to do it. And they say, can I see your license and registration? You may or may not ask them. They're really supposed to tell you why they pulled you over. They really are. But out here, I've been, I've seen it. I've experienced some of it, which is why I can tell you. They are supposed to say, we pulled you over because, or you've been going kind of fast there, or something that identifies why they pulled you over. But sometimes, especially if you in Chicago, they just do it because they know some of them don't know anything, and they pull you over, be like, yeah, license, registration. And so while you're reaching for your license, they literally got their hand on their service, and they're like waiting for you to make a wrong move. Then right after you hand them that, keep your hands where they can see them, like on the steering wheel or usually pressed up on the dashboard or something like that where they can see it. So they can't say whatever. Now, I believe you should be taping. So usually you can let them know I'm taping this traffic stop, right? If they ask you where you're going, this is what I love to tell you that you should probably listen to. You just say, I'm sorry, but I don't answer questions. Because you don't answer questions. Do not answer any questions. Well, you might step out the car. We're just going to make sure you don't have anything. I don't consent to searches, officer. You don't. Do not give them your rights. And they can be real assertive. Well, step out the car. And if they be like, get out the car. And if you don't want confrontation, you want it to kind of simmer down, you slowly open your door, show them your one hand and open the door, get out the car, and lock the door. They're going to ask you, why did you lock the door? Because, officer, I do not consent to searches. They can only search your car if they have a probable cause, meaning they saw something or they have a suspicion that you committed a crime. See, we listen to people like this and we say, oh, he's preaching. No, he's not. He's teaching you how to remain in servitude. Now, like I said, one thing that you need to consider is this one fact. Do not escalate it. Stay calm, stay cordial. Make sure you keep your voice, relative, because they're looking for a reason anyway. Because everybody that looks like me, they automatically said I did something wrong. So when I'm pulled over, I just say, no, I don't consent to searches. I don't consent to searches. And they're going to take shots. Why? You got some drugs in there? Do not talk. It's really that simple. We're not educated enough to even know what violating right. And I think this is where the quote unquote OG thing comes into play. Because people like me and other men who are older, we can actually teach a thing or two to the younger men, assuming, which is the thing, isn't the thing, assuming that they want to even listen, which is the biggest thing. And we are here. So you might as well get your popcorns. Let's go. We're here. This OG thing with older men, men in their 40s or maybe late 30s and up, teaching, mentoring, guiding, giving advice to younger men, teenagers, 20s or whatever. This whole little divide thing, it's been coming up it's been coming up so much, like especially recently. And I'm in a musician group where every time I turn around, somebody's saying the OG's not doing this, the OG's not doing this, the OG's not doing this. Before I even say before I post a video, but before I post a post or anything, let me ask you this question. What do you want from us? From the men or women, the older musicians that are older than you, what do you want from us? That's a conversation that I'm willing to have. What do you exactly want from us that you feel all of us have not given to you? Because, to be honest, there are good OGs, there are bad OGs, but that has nothing to do with them being older. Some people are just not that person. Some people are introverts. Some people don't want to lead you. Some people just want to do their jobs and go home. Some people just not interested in none of that. They just not. Some people want to keep their jobs. That is all okay. You cannot expect everybody to be something to you that you desire them to be. That's not the way this works, because we cannot say you should be at our every beck and call either. It's not the way the world works. I think what's happening is it's like this fluttered or just discombobulated way of thinking from both sides, to be honest with you. It's very, very frustrating and nauseating at this point. Because the unrealistic expectations, and nobody's even saying, okay, let's go back. This all stemmed from a post that Mike Burrell made. That's where it really kind of stemmed from over the past weekend. And this is the post that he made. He said, conversation time, which is what we're having. I recently did a song for a client. Was introduced to a musician who they wanted to play on the song. This musician has a great following and can play, which means he probably has a significant Instagram and or Facebook following. I'm gonna wait until I'm done reading this before I go there. This musician has a great following and can play. Here's my issue. When it came time for the musician to execute their part, they played wrong chords, fills that didn't match. I ended up doing edits on their pass. You shouldn't have done that if you're not the producer, Mike. If you're not the producer, don't do that. But that's just me. You know, if I'm the producer, let me handle that, okay? You just play your part. But anyway, thank you for helping. But the fills that didn't match, I ended up doing the edits on their pass to make it match the music. That's the producer's job. What is it about musicians that by today's standards, apostrophe S, have a social platform, get praised by what they play, but when it comes to working for real, they listen at the music to get by instead of listening to the music to fit the music? Y'all talk to me. Hey, what's up, Stetson? So, let's take this piece by piece. Number one, did he even mention anything about OGs and young musicians? I'm reading this. I mean, you know, my master's degree, it ain't so good. You know, it's in technology. So it ain't in reading and journalism. It's not by stroke, it's suit. But in reading this, do you see anything that has mentioned anything about OGs and young musicians? Did he take shots at anybody that's a young musician or an OG? I don't see it. I don't see it. So how did this turn into an OGs versus young musician thing? How did this get there from this post? That's what I'm worried about. That's the thing that's got me flabbergasted. Like, what is going on here? Now, let's go. I'm trying to get my words because I don't want to offend. I want to be critical and I want to be objective, but I don't want to offend because some of us, we are very, very sensitive. We're ready to cry when somebody says anything that you do not agree with. But we are in a day and age where we can look up and see somebody has 10,000, 20,000, 60,000 followers. And we say, oh my God, he's great. Then we hire them to play a gig and or a recording only to find out you can't play the stuff that you posted. You're doing edits galore to get those posts, that 1 minute, 15-second post. You're doing every chop you can on that 15-second post, but when it really come down to it, you can't retain or learn music. I'm trying to figure out how you can have that many followers, but then when we really look at your real body of work, it's non-existent. Now, maybe you are great at the algorithm. You are great at posting content where you can get people to watch your video. I'm new to it. I'm just now starting to really post music videos. Y'all who've been following me for a while, you on my Instagram, you like, man, dang, D ain't never posted this many videos. No, but I'm starting to get into it. I have a couple of videos that have done really, really well. And I'm kind of shocked because I'm like, all right, wow, you know, I play a powerhouse with some of the greatest musicians I ever will see. So to me, it's just like, okay, it's another day in the office. But to some people, they will follow you based off of what they see. And I'm appreciative of the love that I've been getting. I really am. I'm really appreciative. But I don't want you to think that that 15 seconds or those 15 seconds or post that I decide to post is the whole thing that I can do. But having said that, you can Google some people and see that they actually have a body of work. It is kind of flabbergasting to me to look up and see you got that many followers. But then when we dig deeper, pause, we're not seeing enough for you to be so critical of everybody else. Your resume does not line up with your criticism. This has nothing to do with OGs liking young musicians. It doesn't. The biggest issue that I had with that whole debate, to me, it seems like it's a battle from different perspectives, and nobody's really trying to see right in this middle where everything should align. But it is very frustrating to me that I can relate to what he's going through by saying he hired a musician or he worked with a musician that has a huge following, but your following does not equate to your ability to nail it on a song. Now, we know I got the equipment over here. You know, you see the bass. I've literally been recording and doing stuff on my own. So we know you need to do punches. But what I'm saying is if you just flat out horrible, not that the take was just not what they're looking for and they decide to go another route. I'm talking about flat out horrible. I've literally seen and worked with some musicians that when you hear them on live or they little things, you be like, oh my God. Then when you hear them, you like, is there a twin of you? What was all that stuff that I heard with the flip? What was that? And then you get frustrated because he called it out. And it turned into an OG versus young people because you took offense by him saying anything. He didn't mention nothing. There are OGs that fit this bill too. So what are we talking about here? The OG versus young musician again. I just want us to stop having these conversations about this. So what is the issue? The OGs. You feel that the OGs do not impart into you. We do not give you valuable lessons. We don't show you how it's done. Only thing we do is criticize or berate or whatever. That's all we do. All we do is tell you you're not ready and we hold you back. Some of you have valid arguments. There are some OGs that will hold you back. But I don't think you really care about the OGs that are not doing anything, that have never done anything, that just really just, your local heroes. I don't really think you care about them. I think the OGs you're really talking about is the ones that like the gatekeepers, the one that really been working, that has a name, that's been out here, been doing it for long. Those are the ones that you really, really, not all of you, but those are the ones that you really want to say are not doing anything. I find that hard to believe because some of the ones that I know, they will impart into you. Some of those people are not good people, period. I don't know why you would try to fashion yourself after them because they're not good people. So they may be OGs, but they're not necessarily credible people, period, let alone their skills. And what you do is you become enamored by their skills and you think that should equate to their personality, credibility, or their overall integrity, and it doesn't work that way. Those are not people that I think should even be mentoring you. You should never look to them to mentor you. You could admire their gift and admire what they've done for the industry, but that should be the extent of it. You should never go to those people for advice. Even the Bible's clear about that. You would be better off never to go that route. But those are some of the ones y'all have an issue with. And I'm scratching my head and be like, you want advice from them? For what? That's the issue number one. Issue I saw growing up just led by example. Not too many. Well, and I'm going to get there. Number two. I think the biggest thing, the biggest misunderstanding between OGs and young ones is that the younger musicians think the OGs are just scared or worried or whatever. And it's kind of crazy. This kind of goes for the NBA too. It's like the same thing is happening in music and NBA, in church music in NBA. Where the younger athletes and musicians feel like the OGs are just hating on them because they can't do what they do. Bruh, if I've been playing music for decades, recorded, touring, made a good thing for myself playing, why the Falcon would I care about what you doing and you ain't done nothing? You got the skill, but everybody's talented. Everybody's talented, and some people are going to be better than you, and some people are not going to be better than you. That goes with the territory. And people who've been in the game long enough, we know there's always somebody better than us. We know this, so we're not scared of you coming for us. We're not scared. Well, no OG I know personally. Now, you may have a different testimony, and that's fine, but no OG that I actually really talk to are worried about any of that. Why? Because they got their own things going on. They not worried about that. They're not worried about, that's what you feed yourself because that's what you want to believe because it fuels you in your anger because you think, oh, he's coming, I'm coming for them. Then why you still where you are? You have not done anything for us to feel like you coming. Do something first. Do something major. And then maybe you can get some people to look your way. But it's kind of amazing to me how somebody could be working that Piggly Wiggly and say, you mad because I'm on my way. On my way to do what? I'm driving my car, you on the bus. What are we talking about here? That's asinine. And again, I'm going to say this again, I'm going to drill this home. We know there are good musicians that are young. You cannot get on Instagram and not see it. They are not worried about that. If they are well established, they have solidified themselves. There is nothing your talent can do that can erase what they've done. And they still gonna get called. They still gonna get work. They still gonna get out here and make this money. And I'm still kind of messed up because they say, well, you should move out the way. Let me take the gig. Why do you want to play for a 60-year-old artist? Why would a 23-year-old want to play for a 60-year-old artist? If I'm playing for Gladys Knight and some 17-year-old be like, you should move out the way, let us young people have it. Why would you want to play for Gladys Knight? There are no 22-year-old artists you can play for. But see, that brings me to my next thing. You don't want to work for nothing. And that's the biggest issue a lot of OGs have is this sense of entitlement where you think just because you can play and just because you got chops, that means, oh God, I should be playing for these people. It takes more. And we try to tell you, it takes more than you just being good to get these gigs and keep them. You don't, first of all, you show up late. You don't learn songs. You don't watch your aspirations. You got a nasty mouth. You got a bad personality. You unprofessional. Why would it? Oh, but you can play. But when the OG tell you, you need to check out, you need to pay your dues, which means to mature in every other aspect of your professional career. It has nothing to do with your talent. But when an OG says this because we've lived this, then you want to get mad and say, you just hating on us. I wish that word was never invented. So I'll be frustrated at listening to this. The entitlement. You want to be awarded things, but when somebody says you need to be rewarded for it, now we're hating. When somebody says you need to pay your dues, it's not a shot. You need to earn it. Nobody that comes into this world can just get stuff just on a whim. You have to work for it. It's almost like akin to going to college. Goes up to the university with masters. It's not the way it works. It doesn't work that way, and it should not. So if somebody tells you that, that's valuable information. That's not them berating you. That's them helping you in a way that you need. Every OG they're not necessarily people that can talk. They can't express themselves. Some of them be fumbling. No, but you watch, like somebody said, like Myson said, watch how they carry themselves. They carry themselves in a way. They show up on time. They are in uniform. They make those flights. They don't give you the most outlandish reasons on why they are missing rehearsal. My dog got sick and I had to take him to get the cocaine pumped out his body. Y'all, at least y'all creative in that way too. I've heard some of the greatest lies in the world from some of my younger constituents. You great at that. But if we call you up on it, we're hating. I just don't understand this whole little thing. We're OGs, we do have our problems. Now there are some that feel this way. But they are frustrated because they see how the standard is declined. Again, back to the NBA, LeBron James actually went out and did a warm-up pre-game with his shirt off. Isaiah Thomas, being an old head, as they would call him, said that's unprofessional. Come on, man. We're professionals. We don't come out there. We wear the jersey or we wear a t-shirt or we wear something like that. Why are you coming out there with your shirt off? Because to him, it was unprofessional. And you know what they did? They called him a hater. They said he need to shut up and all this other stuff because he gave his professional opinion. And that resonated with me more than anything, because if we say something, now you deem to be a hater. So guess what's going to happen? If every time I say something to you, it's met with vitriol and everything else, and you're mad now and you don't want to talk, or you take your shots on Facebook or whatever, why would I give you advice? Why would I give you advice? So you may want the advice. And y'all need to look at our advice like the prophets of old. When they used to see the prophets coming, they knew it was bad. They knew it was going to be something bad. You need to look at it like that. Me, when I was coming up, to be honest with you, I didn't want the praise, because I knew eventually that was going to be to my, it's going to lead to me getting complacent. And it ended up happening around before we did No Limit, actually. Before we did No Limit, I had reached a plateau, because I was used to praise and worship. I was used to everybody saying, "Oh, you're so great, you're so great." And I felt like I was at a standstill, like here. And it took somebody, Kevin Randolph, actually pulled me and said, "Hey, bro, you need to work on this. You need to work on that. You need to work on this." And he turned me to a whole nother world of music that I knew nothing about, having grown up in church my whole life. Had I been that same person like some of you present yourself to be, both young and old, where nobody can say nothing to you, none of you would ever heard of me, because my ego would have kept me from listening to him, because I would have felt like I've already arrived. And I would be still playing local. Nothing wrong with playing local. Nothing wrong with it. But if you have aspirations to do something greater, then maybe you should listen to somebody who knows, which brings me to my final point here. OGs, a lot of us, we have the experience that we can share with you, but we are frustrated. Well, not everybody. Me, I was at a point where I wasn't going to give anybody advice. Now, I repented of that. I felt like my voice was needed. So I still give advice to younger musicians. I still do. When they in my inbox and Instagram, I still point them and help them out, or whatever. But it was at one point I was gonna be like, I don't want to mess with y'all. And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm just being honest. Because it's like giving my pearls to swine. I give you good advice. I give you everything you need to prepare you for the world that you're trying to go. And then I look up, and you have not taken my advice, and the only thing you've ever succeeded in doing is getting people to say you're great on Instagram or Facebook, when I saw you being so much greater than that. That's discouraging, because that means I gave you something that you could have used, and you did not take my advice. Instead, you just leached to whoever nuts that you wanted to hang on and go on that way. Go do that. How did that work for you? And it time and time again in my life, when I tried to help somebody, they do not listen. And so you eventually let you go on your way. So maybe it's not that the OGs have neglected you. Maybe they're tired of giving their pearls to swine because some of you do not want to listen. We can eliminate, again, some OGs that you call OGs, they're just not good. It takes a certain person to actually sit with you and want to share in those moments with you where you can actually grow. It takes a certain person to do that. And every person is not made to do that. That's just like almost like saying everybody's meant to be a mentor. They're not. Like everybody's meant to be a pastor. They're not. Just like everybody's meant to be a father. They're not. So why are we putting every last one of them under this umbrella that should be only for a few that can actually do that? And then the rest, you just watch how they carry themselves. Watch how they show up on time, how they practice, how they actually stay prepared. I just want us to get to the point where we're talking and you are actually not just listening. You are applying what they are saying to help you get to where you want them to be, which brings me to this point. Stop trying to tell them to put you on gigs. That's the biggest issue. One of the biggest issues I've seen is you mad because these OGs are not putting you on these gigs. They're not going to if you haven't earned it. And it takes a lot. When I get called, say for instance, when Ricky needs a keyboard player, I go through my mind and I think about all these musicians that I could call for this gig, especially keyboard players. And I actually think about, will this dude even show up for rehearsal on time? Do I have to worry about him missing a flight? Is he going to be out here drinking and smoking his way to oblivion while we trying to be out here working? These are things that I think about. And before I put anybody on a gig, I need to make sure all these things check off. So they're not going to put you on the gig. That's not their job. Their ultimate job, assuming they take on the responsibility, which is another thing, is to help you get to where you're trying to go. Guide you whereas you go. You got to do the walking. They just help you, guide you along this path. And you need to be able to listen to them and not be so confrontational with it and not bucking. We know, some things we're going to say that you may not like. And you got to remember, it's a different time. We grew up in a time where that was tough love. But honestly, it prepared me for the life of a musician. It's rough out here. You think it's better? It's more of you than it is. It's more musicians on my timeline than there are people with college degrees or businesses or any trade. They're almost all musicians. That's competitive. It's cutthroat. So you need to be prepared. So if an OG come telling you something, don't go in the corner and cry with the other teddy bears. Take what he said, toughen up, because the world that you want to be in, it has no room for weak people. Bro, yeah, bro. So yeah, I just want y'all to understand, none of the OGs, we don't despise you. We don't hate on you. We actually want to see you do well. We see some of your paths and it's not good. And when we try to tell you, you want to go the other way. It can't be that way. Curtis Lindsay, actually, you should go follow him. He been going hard all day. Go follow Curtis Lindsay. He been going hard all day. But it is very frustrating for some of us too, because we've imparted into some of you, and to see some of you actually get up on here and act like we don't do nothing, that's BS. That's BS. Now me, I'm not gonna go down name for name. I wouldn't do that. That's disrespectful and it's childish. But I can think of a few that I've actually dropped some nuggets to. Now, whether they applied or not, well, yeah, I'm really proud. I mean, we work together. So it's one, I'm not gonna put his name out here, but it's one in particular. That boy is actually out here doing his thing, and I'm so proud of him. He's not here in the Midwest. He's in LA. If he should ever see this, I'm extremely proud of you. I remember the talks that I've had with him, and to see him doing his thing out there in LA, bro, respect. Respect. So that one individual, he's not the only, but that one in particular, he actually did apply a lot of the stuff myself and other people who grew up with him and tried to, keep him along. Dude, I used to pick this dude up and we used to have talks in the car, going to studios or gigs or rehearsals. This dude is phenomenal and his skill is there. But the mindset that he had to get there and do the work, man, kudos, bro. And he actually listened. I respect that. So don't act like we don't do it. It's just that you need to be in the mindset to listen. Now, having said that, before I go, if there is something where you feel like we lacked in doing, my door is open. My inbox, you will not call me. My inbox is open. Hit me up and say, D, this is something I feel like we could do, OGs could do for us or whatever. We're not going to put you on a gig. We can prepare you for the gig that's yet to come. But I'm a proponent of building. I think you should build. It's so many artists out here. You don't need to try to get on artists that are already established. Why don't you help build something? Why don't you do that? Or build your own stuff where they're looking for you now. I mean, you could do that. I'm not against you having a social media following. I just don't think that's the end all be all. Hey, I'm just trying to be like you, D. Respect to all my OG musicians, you killing Doc. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. I really do. And I like I said, I've said on this live, I have much respect for the younger musicians. I always say this thing is like a circle. You inspire me, I inspire you, we impart into each other. I don't want it to be a divide. I think we're all musicians. I don't look at musicians to be young or old or women or men. I treat women the same. If you can play, you can play. I don't care what you got is your chromosome. XXXY, we don't care. I see everybody the same, and I just want us to be this one unit where each is imparting to each other. We're not necessarily combating with each other unnecessarily. I don't want to see an OG young musician divide. I want to be inspired by what's happening in your circle, but you need to be inspired by what we've established for you. We established the foundation that you are building on. Without the OGs, there will be nothing for you to build on. You would have just open space, and none of us are God. But he placed people, and it goes as a stair. You got the foundation, then it's another level. You can't eradicate the foundation that you're trying to build on. You cannot do that. That's not smart. You should actually try to have a conversation or a relationship with the foundation that has been laid for you so it can remain firm as you build higher. But if you tear down the foundation, what you build will not stand. And so now you just building and building, and eventually it's going to crumble because you've destroyed the foundation. It's just that simple. I have and will never disrespect the ones that came before me. Never will I do it. Did I feel like some of them were abusive? Yes, I see that now. But like I said, it helped make me it better prepared me for the world that I was going into. A young boy coming from Indiana where there was absolutely nobody looking at us. And every week I had to go to Chicago. I don't know if y'all know about Chicago. If those of you who are watching it is not from Chicago, but it's real in Chicago. It's so many greats. And I had to be prepared to be scoffed at, to be looked at, to be side-eyed, to be lied on, and everything else. And not all of them wasn't like that. But there were some. And there were some. And I would never take advice from some of the OGs that treated me that way. And it's ironic that some of those same ones are calling me for gigs. Woo, that's a crazy circle. That's a crazy circle. That's a crazy circle. But I just wanted to say that, listen, again, I'm going to close this, but I don't have this. I don't believe OGs, the ones that matter. There are some bitter ones out here. But like I said, why are you getting advice from people like that? They've shown themselves to be this way as human beings. So far be it for them to ever give you anything that you can use in your life. But there are some of us who are willing to help you. You cannot go to the doctor to get well and then fight the medicine that he's giving you. Take the medicine and grow stronger and be better. I love you. So, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to jump off of here. Oh, I was only here for 1 hour and 19 minutes. Okay. So if you have any questions, anything, let's come back next week. I'll if I need to revisit, whatever. Now, let me say this. I need you guys. Some of you may have been offended by what I said. Please come in my inbox and have a conversation with me. I would have opened the floor for you if you would have said, hey, let me know. Please refrain from doing that. Cause I know somebody that will really, really rip. And yeah, I'm not him. I love him to death, but I'm not him. I'm trying to be nice. So don't try to take my words and try to make it seem like I'm just here attacking you. I've said numerous times, I love you. Some of y'all hearing ain't so good. You play loud music too long. I do love you and I do respect you. You inspire me, but you need to just get better as professionals. I love you guys. I'm jumping off here. Take care.